Hello and welcome to Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about a Galactic Starcruiser update,
A new Tiger Cub at Animal Kingdom,
and our experience at the Disneyland Hotel. Let's dive in. All right, and this is episode number 164.
Welcome back, as always, everybody.
Welcome back. It has been another successful week for the Market House household. We've been kind of hunkering down, working, earning that paycheck so we can pay to go to Disney again. That's pretty much the end goal of every week, is get to Friday and go, there's more money for Disney, baby.
It's so true.
Not for, a roof over our head, not for clothes, not for food. It's more for Disney. So
Priorities.
Priorities, exactly. I'd rather go and eat rice every day, but be able to go to Disney.
Seriously.
That's where my priorities lay. If you disagree, let me know. But no, we've been hanging out. We actually went to a fun place in Old Sacramento. If you're not aware of Sacramento and its history, I believe, man, I might butcher this. It's been a long time. We used to do like field trips down there. Did you do that?
Yeah,
as
to
a
the
kid?
Railroad Museum. Whoa, Railroad Museum.
I don't know what language you were speaking there. It sounded like English. Railroad Museum. And I believe the railroad was Sacramento was a major stop for the railroad. So there's they left that part of Sacramento untouched, I think, unless it's a replica. No, I think it's untouched. I think it's original from like the 1800s, right?
Yes, and there's like a little school there that used to be there. It's
Yeah.
really cool to see.
Cobblestone streets. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Like the raised walkways, the wood walkways. So it's a fun place to go. But down there is a place called Stage 9, which is a Disney. Upstairs is like a Disney and also normal just tourist trap Sacramento merchandise. But as you go downstairs, it gets to be a very cool collector's dream. It's called the Underground Vault or something, the Vault. And it's a bunch of collector's items from Disneyland. I believe the owner's a huge Disney fan. But we did talk about our experience over on Patreon. So if you want to hear about all the things we saw and how much money we didn't spend, because I didn't have a spare $30,000 on me, you can go over there and check it out. But hey, all right, let's dive into this show. Is it time?
Let's do our we have some
Why
fun
am I
stuff.
talking about that? Okay, Patreon. I just mentioned it, markethousepodcast.com/support. You can join us over there. You can support the show and also get some fun episodes like we just mentioned before. Also, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Both are a huge help to the show. On Spotify, you can leave a 5-star rating. And then on Apple, you can leave a 5-star rating in addition to a written review. Speaking of, Caitlin already said something.
We have another review.
You guys are coming through. We appreciate all these reviews. It is amazing. And I'm just very happy.
Seriously.
It has been a great last few weeks because we've been getting reviews.
Back to back.
Oh
my
baby.
gosh, you guys, it makes me giddy.
All right.
I could talk about this all day.
I'm a giddy person.
So this is titled Best Disneyland Podcast. And again, I don't know if this is Amy S100 or Ames 100. So excuse me if I butchered the...
That's all right.
Okay. I listen to several Disneyland podcasts in the months leading up to my annual trip, and this is one of my favorites. Caleb and Caitlin strike the perfect balance of providing helpful and useful information while also being super fun to listen to. They're very cute, but not too cute. Highly recommend for anyone who is planning a visit to Disneyland or just wants to get a bit of Disney magic in their lives every week. I even love the intro and transition music that they sprinkle in. Thank you, Caleb and Caitlin, for all the hard work you put into the wonderful podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's so sweet. And really quickly, I wanted to say thank you for mentioning the transition music. Caleb, I'm just going to say this really quick. Caleb works really hard on that, and that is not easy to do. So thank you so much for noticing, because I love the music every week.
Wow, thanks, guys.
I'm glad you guys do too.
I feel the love. No, thank you so much. I'm not sure if I should be flattered or offended by not too cute. I'm just kidding.
He's kidding.
I'm totally kidding.
That's so sweet of you guys. Seriously.
But I did cry myself to sleep last night thinking about it.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. Thank you so much. Seriously, the kind words mean a ton. And thanks for taking the time to write that.
Yeah, and glad that you found it useful for your upcoming annual trip. Those are so fun and exciting.
Yes, hopefully you have a good time and let us know how it went.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right, for our first news story, I'm going to start off with asking you a question. Do you remember the Galactic Starcruiser?
Bum, Ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum-bum-bum. I don't know why I'm doing that music. It's like the racehorse music. No, the highly themed cosplay experience mixed with a hotel.
Yeah.
The one that cost a minimum of $4,800 for 2 people. Do you remember that thing?
Yes.
That experiment.
The one that was quickly removed from
Yes.
being able to do it.
Yeah, well, it's getting turned into offices for Walt Disney Imagineering. Those are some expensive offices.
Oh my gosh.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they said it cost, I believe $1 billion, but that is what's being thrown around. I don't know if that's true. The Cars Land expansion cost $1 billion. I
Wow.
was also back in like 2006. But anyways, that's a very expensive office building. This is apparently going to be the folks that are working on the Walt Disney World expansion. So the new Cars Land that's going to be put over, unfortunately, on Rivers of America. And there's a lot going on. I can't remember it all.
Monstropolis?
Sorry, Monstropolis. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
So many fun things coming to Disney World. They need a place for these Imagineers to maybe hunker down and work.
That's awesome.
So they'll be working from those highly themed rooms, I guess. I know a lot of people were hoping for some kind of conversion to maybe like a super highly themed restaurant experience. Some people were like, well, can it still be a hotel? I know there were some economic reasons that wouldn't work. It was so small, and the amount they'd have to charge to really get their money back, that wouldn't work. So I guess offices make sense for them. I don't know. It's a little weird. I would have thought they would have made it guest facing.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe the math didn't work out.
I don't know. In my eyes, like honestly, it makes sense for them to do office space because it's so far out. Like,
Yeah.
right? To get to it, that is. Not obviously it's next to the like Star Wars Land, not Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge. But like to get to the hotel, you had to go off like all these like weird side streets, right?
But I guess they could have built a big box for way less money and again made money off this building. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, office building for the Walt Disney Imagineering team. All right, we're still over on the East Coast. Bosco or Basco? I'm not entirely sure. Tabasco.
I don't think
Tabasco the tiger. Bosco, the tiger cub that was born in September of 2024, made his Animal Kingdom debut on Wednesday, January 29th. This cute little thing is just roaming around with his mom, and it's the cutest thing ever.
Little baby tiger cub.
It's a baby tiger cub.
So cute.
The first one to be born at Animal Kingdom in 7 years, so it's been a while since the little cub was welcomed into the arms of the I don't know.
The arms of an angel.
In the fun fact, or actually not so fun fact, it's just a kind of sad fact actually. There are only 600 Sumatran tigers left in the world.
No way.
So the work that Disney's doing to conserve these animals and help raise them is amazing because there's only 600 left. That is mind-boggling.
Which,
to me.
speaking of Disney and Animal Kingdom, highly, highly, highly recommend the show that they have on Disney Plus, where they kind of go through all of the different areas of how they take care of the animals. You get to see some of them, get introduced to them.
Yeah, and then also the Nemo's, what is it called?
The
Seas at Nemo and Friends. So the lives of these, like, I don't know if they're marine biologists or, like zookeepers, people that are taking care of these animals every day in their daily lives. It is very, very cool.
Super fun show.
It is narrated by Josh Gad, so a Disney legend himself is involved. It's a very good show. There's only 2 seasons on Disney Plus. I believe a season 3 is in the works, and we can't wait for it.
All right, for our final news story, we have a couple Disneyland updates, starting with an exciting one. The cannons at Rise of the Resistance are finally working again.
Yeah, what the heck? So these are the things that when you're going through and they're supposed to be like shooting out the window on the right side of the ship that you're, traversing through. Back in the day, they would move. So they would shoot out a laser or whatever, and they would and move. And you're kind of like dodging and zooming through them.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then they stopped working and never worked. It's been over a year since they've worked. And apparently, I did a little digging. There was a problem with the system. The computer would freak out, I believe, and shut the ride down because they thought they would hit something.
Oh, okay.
There was some proximity deal.
Okay.
And so they just kind of got rid of it. And until they could actually spend the time to truly fix the problem. That's what caused all of the breakdowns back in the day, I guess, was this feature. So I guess Imagineers said, just shut it off for now. We'll figure it out later. And I think they figured it out. So Disneylands are currently working. I believe Disney World is still down. So their feature has not started moving yet. But over here in the West Coast, we can enjoy those moving cannons again.
I'm excited that they are moving again because that was such a fun element of the ride.
Yeah, it really made it. That whole section.
Right?
It sold that kind of scary part of like, oh, we're going to get hit by these things.
Such a good ride.
And then finally, next, the Disney Storyland Boutique opened in downtown Disney. It looks really cool. And it's just kind of like a collector store, it feels like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the plushes. There's, I think, a lot of... Are there Funko Pops there?
I don't know about that, but it's a lot of unique merchandise. So stuff that you wouldn't normally see all around the park.
Yes, and it's very well decorated. I love the interior design of it. It's fun. They did feature some exclusive Japanese plushes that have brought extremely long lines. So if you're walking through downtown Disney and you see a long line of people, it's probably for that store.
They also have a lot of Aristocat merch, which is something that you don't see everywhere.
Fun.
So definitely check it out.
Check it out. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is our experience at the villas at Disneyland Hotel. All right. I was expecting some kind of applause or something. Thank you. That was a really cool intro. The villas at Disneyland Hotel.
Sometimes I want to be like, yeah. People are probably like, why is she doing that?
And the crowd goes wild. So we stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, specifically at the villas, in the last, we got back 2 or 3 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. It feels like just yesterday.
Right?
I miss it so much.
I know, we talk about it every day.
But it's been a few weeks. This is the newer DVC tower. It's called the Discovery Tower at the resort. This was a surprise trip for Caitlin's birthday. Maddie and I surprised her with a stay here. It has been years since we've stayed on property. We've mentioned this before. I did the math. It's been 19 years for me since I've stayed on property. It was at the Grand Californian, so it looked a lot different back then. And then you stayed at the Disneyland Hotel 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
I know, it's aging me.
Thank you for that little
I know.
reminder.
I'm like, back in my day, we used to use paper cash. It's a digital world now, Caitlin, don't you know? Everything's Apple Pay.
Apple Pay.
I know. Caitlin's always leaving the house without a wallet, and I'm like, girl, you got to bring your wallet.
Don't tell people that.
You need to bring your license, number one. Number two, you always use Apple Pay, and you're just that's a lot of trust in that store to have Apple Pay.
Well, I don't go anywhere without you, so I never need my wallet.
Anyways, it's illegal. You're going to get pulled over and get a big ticket. And I'm waiting for that day because I'm going to I told you so.
Don't say that.
Leave with your wallet. This is definitely a treat splurge moment for us. We don't do this a lot because Disneyland property pricing is buku bucks. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into cost later, and I'll maybe break that down in our experience. But this was definitely a treat moment for the family. Okay, let's talk about fun facts about the tower.
Yeah.
This new tower, this new addition to the parks. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. When they first announced this, I was a little skeptical because I'm like, dude, it's the classic Disneyland Hotel. Don't mess with the look. Those 3 towers are so iconic. And if you add a 4th, it's going to mess with it. I think it looks really good.
We were wrong. It is stunning.
Very pretty. Very pretty.
Like, I'm just thinking about it right now, and I'm like, I don't even know how they could change it.
I could
it's
move
so
in.
Pretty.
If they gave me one of those rooms, I could move into it tomorrow.
And again, like you mentioned, the classic tower look. They're blue. They're really unique. Like, we love that. But the villas are just so modern, but they're pretty modern. They're not like the weird kind of mid-century where you're kind of like, that's kind of be outdated.
There's nothing mid-century that's bad.
Well, I feel like sometimes like they could go that route, like with the wood. You're kind of like, that's not going to age really well.
Okay, good point.
The villas is so well done.
Very well done. Okay, let's get into the facts. It opened in 2023. It features 344 rooms, 253 of them being deluxe studios. Think of your standard hotel room, right? A bed or two with a bathroom and nothing really fancy there. Sleeping Beauty or Princess and the Frog themed. You've got 38 duo studio rooms. These are newer to Disney. I believe the first hotel to have them, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Riviera over in Disney World.
Okay.
These are meant for like 1 or 2 people max. They're very small. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have a normal bed. It has a Murphy bed, and that's the only thing. So you have to flip it up to be able to sit down on a couch. But it's great money savings. And if you don't need the room, the room inside, and you are not going to stay at the hotel a ton, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah.
There are 38 of these, and they are Jungle Book themed. That's fun.
Yeah.
This hotel features 19 one-bedroom suites. These are Fantasia themed, 22 bedroom suites, Frozen themed, and then finally there are 2 3-bedroom suites. They are gigantic. These are inspired by Bambi, Moana, and Encanto.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Those are the ones that you can see right when you're looking at the building, right? They're like the 2 large balcony spaces.
I believe so. So if you look dead onto the hotel to the top left, you can see 2 giant balcony situations with multiple doors that lead out to it. Those are the 2 3-bedroom suites.
Yeah.
And boy, are they nice.
Yes.
We actually saw some pictures online recently.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Fancy, man. I mean, you have to have some cashola to stay there. or a lot of DVC points.
Yeah.
Either one.
One thing I really love about this hotel, which we're going to talk about next, is it's not only the rooms that kind of strike the fancy of wow, it's also the amenities that come with it. So the pool, the splash pad area, they're awesome.
They're very nice. These are totally separate from the rest of the hotel, by the way. So these, the pool and the splash pad are exclusive to villa guests.
Yes. So for those of you who aren't aware, the Disneyland Hotel has the classic monorail slide in the middle of the resort. They have some pools over there that you can kind of go to, which they actually have multiple, right?
Yes,
like
they
a
do.
separate area next to Trader Sam's. So as Caleb mentioned, the villas has their own little area, which I feel like is really nice.
It's nice, and you have access to the rest of them too. So you don't have to just use the villa ones.
Yeah.
You can go use the main pool from the Disneyland Hotel.
But you have to be a villa guest in order to use it. You can't be a Disneyland Hotel guest to use it.
To use the smaller one, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. The splash pad is Steamboat Willie themed and is very cool. I was there during the evening, and they have all these fun, colorful lights that light it up.
Yeah.
And it's black and white during the day. So I think that's really cool. It's different during the day and nighttime. I walked around. Caitlin wasn't able to join me. She was with Maddie while they were sleeping. And I just walked around by myself, by my lonesome, taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
So very cool area of the hotel. There's also the Palm Breeze Bar. This is a poolside bar that features drinks and small bites. Looks really fun. Kind of pricey, not going to lie. Walked past and looked at the prices, and I was like, yeesh.
Very similar pricing to the Pixar Place Hotel, like their pool area.
Fitness center. So if you want to work out while you're on vacation, you can go crazy because they have a whole-on fitness center in that tower. And then you also, like I mentioned before, have full access to the rest of the Disneyland Hotel. You can use the shops, restaurants, the Broken Spell Lounge, which is newer, the coffee shop, and everything else.
Yeah.
And then finally, you get a special entrance to downtown Disney from this hotel. So they try and, I think, feature an exclusive entrance for all of the hotels at Disneyland. Pixar Pier has one. I'm sorry. What's it called?
Pixar Place.
Pixar Place. Pixar Place has one that spits you out into Pixar Pier, right? And then you've got the Grand Californian that spits you out over at Grizzly River Run area. Yep. And then for the Disneyland Hotel, your entrance is downtown Disney, but I thought it was going to be exclusive, but they do let normal guests go through it.
Yeah. So what they kind of do is I feel like it's almost like a mind trick. So if you're walking beside in between the Pixar Place Hotel, there's kind of like a little parking area, and then there's the Disneyland Resort. There's an entrance right there that would lead you straight to Din Tai Fung on the left side of it.
And it's brand new because it's has downtown Disney in big letters. That's looks like the official entrance on that side.
Yes. So that's the area that all the people from, like, if you would want to, like the Westin, the Grand Californian, the Pixar Place Hotel, and like the Good Neighbor Resorts in the back would all lead to. However, if you keep walking down beside the Disneyland Hotel, there's another entrance that's right next to the Sorcerer Mickey hat, which leads you to the resort, as well as the old ESPN Zone building. There's an entrance right there, security that you can go into. It's technically for resort guests, but they're not telling you that you can't go over there. However, I think it's out of sight, out of mind, because it was always super slow.
There was always just one person in front of us. It's really small too. It's like a mini entrance because there's only 2 security guards over there, I believe.
Yeah.
So very tiny. So like Caitlin mentioned, not exclusive, but feels exclusive.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. So that was kind of neat to use. So let's get into our experience, our personal time at this resort, what we thought, and I broke it down by certain things here. So let's start with the room. We stayed in a deluxe studio room, so one of the standard hotel rooms with a standard view. We'll get to that in a second. Standard view. Just keep that in mind. It was Princess and the Frog theme. What do you think about that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was really hoping for this one, right? When Caleb told me about this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope it's Princess and the Frog. It was, and let me tell you, this room, absolutely beautiful. Not only was it super clean, it wasn't all like dinged up. It hasn't shown its age, obviously, because it's such a newer hotel. So it was really cool seeing that, because normally at Disney resorts, they're so beat up sometimes.
I know. And
by people.
Yeah, it's not their fault. It's just, there's families in there and there's kids and God knows what's happening in there. So you'll see, scuffs on the walls and dents.
Yeah. So the bathroom, I want to start with that. The shower was really nice. I loved how spacious it was. It had the barn door slider as they normally do, but also there was a separate door for the actual bathroom. The lighting was awesome. I really liked the tile work. It kind of fit the Princess and the Frog theme. And then also one thing that I loved was it had Mama Odie's kind of like, it was a picture of Mama Odie's like
hideout home thing. Yeah.
That was really unique. And then going into the main room, so much space. I have to tell you, with these DVC rooms, having the sink, the fridge, just areas for like snacks and bottles and water bottles and just literally anything you want to bring back from the park. The closet space, just the what's it called? It's not like an island, but it's kind of like the table area underneath like the TV. It's not like an entertainment center.
I don't know, it's like a console or something.
That was so big. So that was so nice to have that room. And then I think one of my favorite parts was the actual backsplash of the wall. It had like all these different princess cutouts and it just looked really pretty.
Yeah, very modern room, very pretty. We love the design. And like Caitlin mentioned, the space came in use a lot. So when Maddie was napping, we had plenty of room to spread out and sit on the couch and clean bottles. And that sink was a game changer, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So DVC rooms are awesome because they're building them for people that are staying for longer stays. And so you get to take advantage of those perks. That was nice.
We also had a headboard that lights up. So it had like a kind of like a Tiana themed picture and it was really pretty.
Very pretty.
It reminded me of the menu at Tiana's place is it Tiana's place on the cruise?
Yeah.
Very similar to that. And then again, there was pictures all throughout the room that would have Tiana and her family, so on and so forth. Really well done.
Yeah. So let's get back to that standard view part. I didn't love it. And that's not the hotel's fault. They make it very clear it's going to be, a view of the back lot or of the street or some houses. They don't oversell it. And I understood what I was buying when I got into it, but I was like, I think it was going to be an extra $100 per night for a premium view. And I was like, I don't know if we're going to be in the room that much, so I'm not going to spend it. I kind of wish I did, maybe not $100 a night, but I wish there was some kind of upgrade option because the premium view is usually of the pool or of, if you're high enough, technically like downtown Disney.
Yeah, in some of the rooms you can actually see
the
World of Color.
Yeah.
And you can see the fireworks from Disneyland.
Very far,
yes.
But yes, technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I wish if we're going to stay here again in the future, I think I will splurge for the premium view to save up a little longer because the standard view was fine. We had a view of the backstage area.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like one of the buildings I saw had a door that said like it was a dining area. So I think it was a restaurant for cast members.
Yeah, which again, I have to mention though, we've seen other people go in the hotel and their views were people's homes and like a side street.
Yeah, and when you're staying at the Disney bubble, it kind of takes you out of it. So that would have been nice to have that. So could have been worse. Service. Let's get to service. The staff here were so incredibly nice. When we first showed up, the bell services people were very nice. There was a little bit of a wait, which was no problem. We were tired from our Uber ride, so we didn't mind standing around and waiting. But they were so, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry we took so long. And I'm like, your guys are fine. So they took our bags. They were super nice and were so fast to bring our bags up and take them at the end of the trip. We legit waited 5 minutes and they were at the door.
Which, quick note, if you are staying at the villas, you do not check in at the villas. You check in at the main Disneyland Hotel, like registration area.
Yes.
Is that right? Registration?
Did
I just say
check-in area? No, it's registration desk, right?
Is it?
I don't know.
A check-in desk.
Whatever.
But yeah.
I'm looking at Saratoga Springs. That was a terrible bell services experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not cast members' fault. It was just really busy. But that was just it. It was just night and day. Disneyland was like on it.
Yes. And
Saratoga, it took like 45 minutes to get help. So could be better over there. Front desk was super nice. They handed me every handout, every button that existed in Disneyland. They just handed me this big old handful of stuff and was like, here's for your kid. Here's a coloring book. Here's
so many things.
A map of the resort. I have them sitting here on my desk right now. I can't wait to go like through them all.
And they're really neat Disneyland Hotel key cards for the room.
Which we'll frame and keep forever.
They're so cool.
We don't know if we'll ever make it back. There was always someone in the Discovery Tower, so the DVC tower we were staying in, that would say hello every time you walked in. So they were there, honestly, from morning till late evening.
Yes.
There was someone there to greet people and help them figure out where to go. So that was awesome. It was
a nice Disney touch as well, like always having someone being like, hi, like welcome home
and
every single time.
By the end of the trip, they were recognizing Maddie and saying hi to her. So that was really fun.
Yeah. And then one thing I did want to mention about the entrance of the villas is they have this like side room area right when you walk in the main lobby. And there's tons of seating. There's like a fake fireplace. It's very cozy in there. So if you ever need a minute to go do some work or you just want to take a break and have a snack, like that's a really nice area to do so.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people using that as a meeting spot. So before they went to the parks, they'd go meet there and hang out, get a drink. And then also I saw a guy, I don't know why he was working on his vacation. I feel bad, but he was in there almost every day on his computer doing some work.
Hey, you gotta do what you
gotta do. What you gotta do. Hey, I get it, dude.
I'd rather work at Disneyland than be at home.
He's probably like, hey, I gotta pay for this room, bro.
Serious?
I gotta get some work done. Shopping. The Fantasia shop was flipping. One of my favorite, I think, stores on Disney property.
Yeah, so it was so 90s in there. It was awesome.
It looks like old World of Disney.
Yeah.
Like before the refurb, back when there was the like looking glass eye thing in the front. Remember that?
It also reminded me of the Disney stores that you would see like in the malls.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very mall-like.
Had like the old like cherry wood looking cases.
So it was a little retro, but let me tell you, the merchandise selection in there was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
We spent way too much money.
Yes.
It was our first day. I was feeling real happy, and we went to town.
Yeah.
Maddie was like, and I was like, put it in the bag. Put it in the bag.
We got a really cool, like a couple magnets, and we still need to do that story. We need to show everyone.
Yeah, we need to show our haul.
Yeah.
Come
We'll do
on.
that soon.
We got to do it. The staff were always very friendly in there, would always take time to speak with us and entertain Maddie.
Yep.
That was fun. It was very nice to Maddie. Next up, let's talk about the food options on the resort. And to be honest, we only went to the coffee house, which is the coffee spot in there. Very small little coffee shop. It's been recently renovated. It looks very good.
We also did Goofy's Kitchen, but we just talked about that.
Thank you. We did do Goofy's Kitchen. Sorry. And that was delicious. We talked about that, a week ago?
Yes.
2 weeks ago? Okay. So very good experience there. Coffee was decent. It's Joffrey's, not their fault, but we just don't love it. And then there is also Tangaroa Terrace and Trader Sam's.
Yes.
Both of those spots we did not eat at this trip, but we've been there plenty before. Tangaroa, I'll tell you this. It's decent food, but it's very expensive. It's counter service, very simple stuff. It's a burger with a pineapple on top. That's fine. It's like 20 something bucks. They have a teriyaki plate that's $20. It's a little pricey.
Yeah.
So it
however,
is
if you'd like to spend more, the Villas has in-room dining with some. I feel like the food that they offer is a little more like elevated.
It is, but my
very expensive.
problem with in-room dining is it's already very expensive, and then they add a 20% service charge on it, and then you tip on top of that.
It's
So
all about convenience.
They deserve the tip,
Yeah, for sure.
but I just am always like, oh my Lord, like it's so pricey. So we did not take advantage this time. Maybe next time we'll give it a shot. And then finally, there's the Broken Spell Lounge, which is a new bar in the Fantasy Tower, I think.
I don't know.
Very cool.
Okay.
I went over there, snuck over there to look. It was full and looked very well themed. So
I love the name of it.
I'd love to try it one day. And then the Palm Breeze Bar I talked about earlier, that is a fun, quick spot to grab a bite to eat. We did not try it, but I've heard good things. Okay. That's it for food?
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
No, that's it.
Okay. Property and grounds. This is personally where I think the resort stands out from the rest. That the walkways through there, the gardens, I guess is what you want to call them.
It's very serene. If you've ever walked through the Grand Californian, you get that kind of wow factor of like, wow, this is very nice. It's very calm. It's very relaxing. The Disneyland Resort Hotel grounds are so different than that. Like they're very serene, but it literally feels like you're on like an island.
I know,
right?
Because there's so many trees and so many plants. And again, there's meandering walkways that just are very like, oh my gosh, like you'll eventually reach your destination, but it's more about the journey,
It's
I
like
guess.
the music and the tiki torches. And it's just everywhere you look, it's just like the skyline of that resort is just so pretty.
Yeah. So I was in love with it. Every single time we'd walk out of the building or into it, I was like, I can stay here for 4 weeks.
Seriously.
The main resort pool, like we mentioned before, is so classic looking. Loved seeing people have fun out there. It was really cold, so not many people were swimming, but some kids were swimming. They were brave enough to do it, and a lot of people in the hot tubs taking advantage of that. So a lot of people having fun out there. There's plenty of seating areas to talk and just have a good time. We took advantage of this. There's a ton of these like bench couch situations over by the Fantasy Tower that we would hang out in, drink a coffee.
Very comfy.
Let Maddie crawl around for a little bit. That was nice.
And I really appreciated that the resort was very quiet. Like that was something that you don't notice a lot when it comes to resorts, like usually hustle and bustle type of thing, especially at the Grand Californian. The amount of people going through that place.
Yeah.
The Disneyland Hotel, it was like, there was obviously people there, but it was so few and far between. It was like, it almost felt like we were there by ourselves.
Yeah, and the resort spread out. I mean, Grand Californian is very central because it's just like a central lobby or whatever. Those towers all have their own little lobby areas. So it I think everyone's dispersed. So it feels like we mentioned, you're one of 10 people at the resort. Let's go to, the final note is the perfect mix. I said it's the perfect mix of magical and peaceful.
I cannot agree more.
Yeah. So very, very nice. And then I'll tell you this final note about the resort, like Caitlin mentioned, very quiet. What I appreciated was the doors and stuff had seals at the bottom.
Yes.
Disney resorts are the worst offenders of having these giant gaps at the bottom. So when people walk down the halls, kids are excited to go to the parks. They're screaming at 7 a.m. and they're waking your kid up or waking you up. That did not happen here. It was very quiet.
Yes.
That was awesome. Okay, let's get to the value part. This is where things get a little messy, I guess, on value so subjective. You ask someone that's used to staying at the Ritz every single trip, they're like, this is a budget hotel. This is half the price of what I usually pay per night at the Ritz-Carlton. You ask someone that stays at a Holiday Inn Express, they're like, I can't imagine spending this kind of money for a Disneyland hotel.
Right.
We fall right in the middle. I get it. There's no way we're staying at the Ritz, all the time, unless we have points or work's paying for it.
Yeah.
And then we're also the type that's like, yeah, I can understand that this feels silly expensive.
Yeah.
So we fall right in the middle of like, some days I'm like, it's worth it. And then other days I'm like, there's no way I'm paying that again.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what this place costs. So you can book this tower using cash. It's kind of confusing. It is a DVC tower, so technically it is for DVC guests that have DVC, but you can also book it with cash.
I don't know if I'd recommend.
No, you get penalized.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the prices here. Cash prices range from $525 to $800 per night for a standard view deluxe studio room. Ouch.
Yikes.
You move up to a preferred view, that's going to cost you $750 to $1,100 per
Which is
night.
Roughly around what you're paying at the Grand Californian, right? For just like with a no room, or excuse me, a no view room.
That's staying in the lobby on one of the couches. $800 per night. No, that's a no view. Yes, just a view of a wall or something. We rented DVC points. I'm not going to get into it on this episode because it takes a little to explain. Technically, you're just borrowing someone else's points and paying them for the pleasure, and you're able to use their points to stay at this resort, is kind of how it works. There's some really big websites that we've used, David's Vacation Club Rentals and DVC Rental Store. Not sponsored at all, but we've used DVC Rental Store a couple times. Very nice. They're very flexible. They offer something if you have to reschedule, you can do that if you give them a plenty of advance notice, and they'll give you the full credit of what you've paid. Most other people are like, hey, you spend it, and if you can't make it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, you've lost thousands of dollars, and you can't stay there anymore.
Right.
So less flexible there. So either buy trip insurance, pay with a credit card that offers some kind of trip insurance, or you better make it.
Yeah.
Is my suggestion there.
Which can be a little rough if you have a family, especially with little ones.
Absolutely.
It's like you just never know.
If they get sick, if they get hurt, you don't know.
Yeah.
If you rent DVC points, the nightly rate can be as low as $300. So that is like half off what you're paying cash rate. Again, like I mentioned, a difference of $200 per night from the cash rate. We didn't get it for that much. I am jealous. I don't know when it would be that cheap.
300.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it has to be a random day during the week, like in February or something.
Like a Tuesday through Thursday or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's wild. I'd have a hard time justifying the cash rate at this hotel. The rooms are very nice, like you mentioned. It's close to downtown Disney, but Disneyland being in the middle of Anaheim, it's very unique in the fact that there are some really nice, good neighbor hotels, technically closer to Disneyland for less money, like half of that cost. So sometimes I'm like,
you're definitely paying more for the theming and the newness, I feel like, when you're being compared to like the other good neighbor hotels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For us personally in our family, it is a no-brainer to stay on property at Disney World because it's so stinking big. You get that transportation, you get the theming, and they have options. They've got value resorts, they've got moderate, they've got deluxe. For Disneyland, they're all considered deluxe, so they're stinking expensive. So a little less no-brainer-ish for me, a little harder to justify this kind of cost. I think it's 100% worth it if you can find a good DVC rental deal. So I would definitely rent points. If you have questions, let us know. We'd love to help. But I would try and say, in my personal opinion, let me know what you think, $300 to the mid $400s, I think it's worth per night for a splurge trip.
Yes.
I would pay that and be like, okay, I think it was worth it for, this is not something we're doing 4 or 5 times a year.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
This is a once a year, once every other year experience. And I wouldn't break the budget for it. Also, if I sat down with the family and they said, hey, we can either go to Disneyland and stay at a good neighbor hotel, or we're going to have to skip out this year and wait to stay on property, I'd say absolutely not, just stay at a good neighbor resort.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, this is not a like, oh, drop everything, book this hotel.
No.
This is like, it's great if you have the money, and it's a no-brainer at that point. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I wouldn't stretch yourself to make this work.
No.
It's very cool, but not cool enough to not go.
I would say if you're willing to, like for us, like Caleb mentioned, like you have to save up for it type thing. If you're willing to save up for it and like wait a little bit, I would highly recommend. But if you're kind of like, no, I'd rather go when we want to go and just stay another one, then perfect. Do that too.
Absolutely. So we've stayed at the Westin before. We're going to do an episode later to kind of compare the two. I'll just really shortly say this. The Westin is like all of the luxury and niceness of the Disneyland Hotel, and I would say, and the Grand Californian for, again, half the cost. Cheaper. Maybe not half all the time, but like way less.
Not anymore.
Yeah, they've raised the prices, man. Marriott across the board raised prices everywhere.
I know.
So yeah, not exactly half anymore, but for a lot less.
Yeah.
Let's talk about overall thoughts. Let's close this out. Me personally, I would absolutely stay here again. We're already trying to figure out a time where we can go next year and make this work. 9 out of 10 for me. What do you think?
I think there was a couple, like, I think the only knock I had on it was the beds are they're small.
You're right. I'm sorry.
For what we're used to.
We forgot to talk about this. They are, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong, please correct me. They feel like full-size beds, not queens.
No, they definitely are.
You think so?
They are not a queen.
Okay.
No, because literally when we were all laying in there in the morning, I'm like, we're all like on top of each other. And like little Maddie, like it was not a big bed, which again, that's fine. It doesn't need to be a gigantic bed, but you would think like the pull down would be a full.
Caitlin likes to starfish.
No.
She's just out there.
No.
I'm like sandwich on the side.
No. And again, I think they are a little more firm, like the mattresses. Again, small critique, but it's like.
Caitlin's very fancy.
No, I'm just
kidding.
Not.
She woke up after the first night. She's like, that bed is terrible.
Back was hurting. I don't know if that means our bed is terrible or if I don't know, but it got better as like the nights went on. But I did want to mention that the beds were like a little small. Other than that, that was it. There was nothing wrong with it. The hotel was clean. The staff was absolutely amazing. The theming was on point. The grounds were beautiful. The access to Disney property, you cannot beat that. That was amazing.
Okay, I'm going to be devil's advocate. You can beat it over at the Grand because it spits you out into California.
But no one here is like, we're going to spend $3,000 a night.
I am. No. If I rob a bank,
he's kidding.
I'm just kidding.
So that's what I'm saying is like, if you want to pay that, that's awesome. But if you want to go cheaper, the proximity, again, when we went, the monorail was closed for refurb. But if that was open, that would have been amazing, especially for a little one. So there's so many happy memories. It was really, really great. So I would almost say 10 out of 10.
Yes. And I'll close by saying this. This is the only resort that's made me consider buying into DVC. I've been researching for the past 3 weeks. I need to talk to some friends that have done this before and are DVC members to pick their brains on it. I still can't get the math to work to where I'm like, this makes absolute sense. Maybe they can explain it a little better to me. But this is the one where I'm like, yes, if I can stay here one time a year and be a DVC member and pass this off to Maddie when she's, older and has kids, she can take her kids there.
Or her friends.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of like the idea. I don't like the price tag. Like, yeah. You can buy a lot. You can buy a lot of things for what they charge, but it's the first time where I'm like, okay, I can kind of see this being something we'd use.
Yeah, I feel like my hesitation isn't a knock on the resort. I just don't like the
commitment and
being held to something.
That's true.
Because it's like right now, in my opinion, like obviously there are other DVC resorts, but like with the villas, they're beautiful, they're stunning. Well, yeah, because they're brand new. But I'm just kind of like, would that magic wear off eventually?
That's true.
I don't know though, because like thinking about it, I'm like, it's so absolutely beautiful and we loved it. And like, it was just great that I'm like, maybe it wouldn't. But I do think it's that like, it's expensive. It's not like it's $5,000 to buy into DVC.
I know. It's very expensive. So it's like, it's that plus the annual dues. It starts to get like, I can't make the math out, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more. Let us know if you can have any questions about the hotel. We'd love to help if we can. How to rent DVC points, how they work. I was super confused when I started doing it, but after 5 or 10 minutes of talking to someone, I totally understood and jumped on that plan because it saves a lot of money.
Yes, it does.
So let us know if you have questions. We'd love to help. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us over on Instagram and Threads at Market House Podcast. Make sure to follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. Please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Both are a huge, huge help to the show. We have a Patreon, markethousepodcast.com/support is where you can join. Remember to use our Getaway Today link for your future trip bookings. Check out the episode details for that link and use code MarketHouse10 to save an additional $10 on your vacation. Join us next week for another episode. It's been fun. It's been grand. It's been filled with Mickey waffles and pools and expensive hotels.
Bye.